So my name is John Love. I am an artist and gallery operator and educator living in Lincoln, Nebraska. So I make all sorts of paintings, drawings, that sort of thing, video, art, etc., and also teach kind of similar subjects at local institutions like Southeast Community College, Nebraska Wesleyan University here in the fall. So I actually came to the University of Nebraska after graduating high school as a biology major. So my last name is Love, and I wanted to be Dr. Love primarily. And I think I did fine with grades and everything, but had always been drawing. My parents own a sign company, so they make like billboards and do vehicle wraps and did pinstriping and all this sort of thing. And so I was always drawing, always interested in the visual aspect of the world. And after that first semester as a biology major, I found myself doodling more in the margins than I was actually focusing on the schoolwork. And so I was like, let's give this a try. So then switched to graphic design, and at University of Nebraska, you have to do a lot of painting and drawing classes. And throughout, my 4 years doing that, I had some professors that said, you can do this, you can make this a career. And I sort of haven't looked back. Went to grad school and then moved back to Lincoln and have been making things for people and then operating the gallery for the past 2 years. So yeah, I've just dove in and tried to make things work, and it's been a lot of fun. So
it seems like you probably have a lot of...
I guess generally almost all of my work has to do with how the digital age or the internet, I guess specifically, has kind of changed a lot of things, or just the way that life feels now that might be different to the experience living, 30 or so years ago, or obviously before then. So what has having a cell phone in your pocket that gives you access to all the information that man's ever came up with on yourself all the time? What does that do? And also having a great camera phone on you all the time. So yeah, how we have kind of dealt with that. So what that's done to the art world, what it's done to human relationships. So I guess that's a really broad overview, but one of my big influences is actually Kanye West, kind of my muse. I think that he, is kind of a media savant. He's sort of figured out the way that attention works, how it can be wielded, and also in his work, I think he talks about some of that stuff too. So yeah, and you have kind of like the highbrow background, and also, yeah, Kanye West, I think, is an incredibly inspirational figure these days. So I think for anyone who seriously makes things, so as an artist that, an artist or somebody who is serious about photography or is a woodworker, anything like that, you just want to spend all of your time making the things. And so for me, it's been really difficult advertising and getting the word out about the space and, just the really like nuts and bolts operational stuff about having a space that's not the same skill set at all that it takes, I think, to make some of these things. So yeah, I just want to be in my studio all the time drawing, and so yeah, it's kind of like pulling teeth doing some of the other stuff. Although I do have a lot of fun talking to people during First Friday, so that's been a real joy. But yeah, setting everything up and painting the walls and sweeping up and cleaning up and buying food for First Friday, it's not like that difficult, but it's just a lot different than the fun part. So yeah, I start from some sort of idea. It can be pretty, fully formed or pretty rough in the beginning, and then a lot of the times it starts with research online. So for these images behind me here, this is the Goth Dads series, and so I was thinking about just the weirdness of having relationships in the digital age, especially intergenerational relationships. So like talking to my dad, who we really didn't kind of grow up in the same world in a lot of ways. And so the theory with these is that, if I told my dad I was a goth tomorrow and he wanted to empathize with me, he could go onto YouTube and look up what that meant and, become a goth himself. Although it would obviously be very weird and clunky and awkward. But I think that's just that is worth like pursuing and thinking about. So then, once I have an idea, I will find all the images I need online, compose the images in Photoshop often, and then draw them afterwards with colored pencil. These are just regular graphite pencil. So yeah, the process is really odd and different every time, but it's pretty much always have an idea, compose things in Photoshop, and then draw the things afterwards, which I think that's even an interesting aspect. A lot of the times people only see these things on their phones for 5 seconds on Instagram, and so I think it's kind of funny to spend 50 hours drawing something that's going to be seen as or spread primarily as an image, as a JPEG. So hypothetically, I wouldn't even need to draw them after I Photoshop the image, but there's something important about them being drawn to me that's kind of unexplainable, at least at this point. So yeah, I've already started to merge the drawing with the video work, projecting it on top of it and that sort of thing. So I think just continuing to go down that road and see where it takes me. So potentially doing augmented reality. If people there could be a drawing on the wall, so they could go up to it and point their phone at it, and their phone camera shows them more information. So I don't know, almost like a Snapchat filter or something in that way. Yeah, those sorts of things are incredibly interesting to me. So yeah, augmented reality, 3D headsets, what would it be like to have one of those in this space with all the drawings as well? So yeah, just different ways of merging very physical with the kind of digital or virtual, I think is an area I'm interested in pursuing for sure. So I guess I first became seriously involved with the Lincoln art community after graduating from graduate school in 2013. I moved back to Lincoln to be an artist in residence at the Lux Center for Art in Northeast Lincoln. So that was, one of my first experiences, I guess, behind the scenes of a First Friday. So I would, sometimes help with installations. I had my own show there at the Lux as well. So yeah, kind of meeting people, but also, working with artists to make sure that the work that they're showing is shown kind of ideally. So yeah, I guess I've been really seriously invested or involved with the Lincoln art scene for about 3 years. But that's one of the negative things about having my own space. I don't get to go out to a lot of other First Friday events anymore because I've got to be here. But I know there's a lot of great galleries doing really interesting things. So I think this is a good time to be an artist in Lincoln. And with the digital age even, people from all over the world can see what's happening in Lincoln. It's not the same thing, I don't think, as being here in person, but people can kind of get a taste about what we're up to, and we can also figure out what's going on anywhere in the world. So yeah. In 1 year, I suspect I will still be in this space, showing off the best work I've ever made, hopefully, and continuing to curate other local artists. I really would like this to be a space where new, interesting contemporary art can thrive. And I'm not just saying it's good for the region, or it's good for the state, or it's good for the city. The best quality art that you can find anywhere. I hope to allow that to happen here in Lincoln. In 5 years' time, I suspect I will be the vice president for Kanye West, the president, obviously. No, I don't know. I'm very comfortable, I think, being in Lincoln for a long time. Like I said, I think that there's a lot of energy going on here, and a lot of really great artists. And again, that we kind of already have access to the whole world of art in our cell phones. So yeah, I think this is a good space to be. And if I was still running the gallery in 5 years here in this exact same space, I would be totally pleased with that. And in 20 years, I have no idea. Still hopefully making things and helping out other artists to make things as well. So one of the series of artworks that I have been working on for a long time is called How Do You Know When You're Finished? Which you could say like any individual art piece, like, you know, is this finished or is it not? Could I still keep working on it? But you could also say that, I think, to like working on an idea or working, you know, making an artistic life. So the first piece I made for that series was of the late author David Foster Wallace, who committed suicide, you know, pretty early on in his, I think, artistic career. And so I'm just thinking about, you know, who gets to decide when we're finished, who gets to decide what it means, and how useful or important is it to know where you're headed. So I think I just want to keep coming up with new ideas, working on the things that are interesting to me, and I guess I'll kind of let history decide after I'm gone when it's finished and what it all means. But I'm working hard to try and figure it out along the way, for sure. So the thing I'm really focusing on recently is how the digital world has kind of affected our view of history, especially art history. So I made this piece, and maybe we can like throw this into the video at the end or something. I made this piece called "This Kid from a Caravaggio Painting Looks Like Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle." So Caravaggio was an Italian Renaissance painter, and like on the very like corner of one of these like giant paintings he made, I saw this like figure who looked like Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle. And so I drew that image next to an actual image of Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle on the same sheet. And again, the title is "This Kid from a Caravaggio Painting Looks Like Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle," with the idea being that painting, this great like Italian Renaissance masterwork, is interesting to me because of this TV show I watched when I was growing up, and not really the other way around. So because, you know, because of my personal experience, history is sort of contemporarily to be used instead of, I don't know, instead of it to, I guess it doesn't necessarily have the authority that it may be used to. And so I'm interested in like exploring that idea. So if you keep tabs on my work, look out for those sorts of things, I guess. So yeah, I'm John Love, the curator and owner of John Love's Art Gallery here in Lincoln. I'm originally from Norfolk, Nebraska. So I went to school at the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, moved away for a while for grad school, and now I'm back here running a gallery, being an artist, and also teaching classes at various places around town, Southeast Community College, Nebraska Wesleyan, the occasional class at UNL. So yeah, I am a maker of things, and I am also curating other local artists to do the same, to make things that they're passionate about. So the next First Friday show will be more of my work. I think it'll be 6 or 7 new graphite drawings. The title is Desperation Machines. The title comes from this book called The Loser by Thomas Bernhardt. And in this book, one of the artists, so it's about these piano players, and one of them describes his music studio as his desperation machine. And so I'm kind of thinking about humans as desperation machines. So again, it's kind of tying in the human experience with this, you know, new digital realm. And so here at my gallery, John Love's Art Gallery in the Haymarket, we'll have, the show of my work called Desperation Machines. We're here in the Creamery building at 701 P Street. So I hope you all can come through. Should be fun.